Hey, 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 glad to have you in the building with me tonight. So glad to have you here. Um, I'm trying something new tonight, so we'll see how this goes. And I am excited that you are here. I am Florence Donald, and welcome to the Purposeful Productivity Show, where we're going to dive into a new topic tonight. So, let me start by saying we're going to talk about brainstorming. Brainstorming, something that you may think you're familiar with, something that you may exercise at times. My question that I want to answer for you tonight is, are you being effective in this what we call brainstorming? Is it leading you or guiding you to a real end goal? Or is it you're putting a bunch of ideas down, you put them on sticky notes, you put them in notepads, you put them in Word docs, you put them in Google Docs, you put them in spreadsheets, and you don't get anywhere with them? Let's solve that. Let's no longer do that thing. Let's not have a bunch of ideas spread out all over the place. They don't go anywhere. Let's get focused. That's what we're going to talk about tonight. And I have something at the end I'm going to share with you, or maybe even in the middle, that I'll share with you that I've come up with. And this tool I created really for me because I found myself doing the very thing that I just described, having lots and lots of random ideas and not moving forward where I wanted to move forward. And it's may be a little hard to think, well, how can this be? You're really productive, Florence, and I am. At the same time, I know that I can always be better. I can achieve more. I can be more effective. I can take less time, less energy, less stress. And so I continue to strive to improve. So
Mm.
that's what we're going to talk about tonight. But before we do all of that talking, I would love for you all to let me know if you. I think everybody here is the OG, but if you're not, if you're new and you've not been with us here on the Purposeful Productivity Show, put hashtag newbie in. And if you've been here for a minute and you're a regular part of the Live Tribe, put hashtag Live Tribe in the chat. I want to know who's here with us this evening. And I want to talk with you, especially if you're new and you're not familiar with what we do here on this channel and the content that I drop. So we got some folk in the building with us this evening, and I want to say hello to you all and get going. Get going, get going. Let's see if I can do this right. So, yeah, I didn't do that part right, did I? It's all good. It's okay. Um, so let's see who's out there. Well, we're going to start with one of our moderators. Hello, Miss Inanea. So glad to have you in the building, moderating and being a part of the community. I always enjoy seeing when you pop in, and you're always here, it seems. And another moderator, hello, Frank Jackson. Glad to have you in the building. And you're over here in the lounge with us as well. So glad to have you here with us, serving and waving at me. Hello, Tech Troublemaker. Roy, I did get your message. I will respond to you, but I was like, I'm in the zone, so I'll come back to whatever comes in. So I'll get back to you. Hello, Miss Denise, Homemaking with Denise and Apron Diva. Glad to have you in the building with me. So what am I talking about? I'm talking about this brainstorming thing, and tonight is really going to be a conversation, and I'm going to ask you as you are as I'm going through this to put a 1 in the comment, and I'm going to give you a question to be thinking about. Do you have an objective, a goal, a dream, or a desire that you want to brainstorm about? If you do, put a 1 in, and if you're wondering what that is and you're saying no, put a 2 in. It's okay either way because what I'm gonna share these I'm gonna share, 5 tips, and I'm gonna dive into one in detail, to help you, and then I'm gonna share with you a resource that you can grab that is a worksheet that you can work through this process on your own. So again, do you have an objective, a goal, a dream, or a desire to brainstorm about? That's the question for you today. Let's see what this thing is about. So, brainstorming. Brainstorming is something that um, we talk about all the time. And I think somebody else just slid in here. And yes, she did. Hello, hello. Ravens Talk with Yolanda. Glad to have you in the building. Dolce 63, glad to have you in the building. Welcome, welcome. Glad to have you here. Brainstorming is something we often say we do. And as I started out, we will often take a sheet of paper, a notepad, or whatever we want to use, tool of choice, pick one, and just get a whole bunch of thoughts out. And we think that that's brainstorming. And it's clearing our mind. What I'm talking about here is being very focused and intentional toward a specific outcome in terms of brainstorming, something that you want to achieve. So I'm going to run through these very quickly. I'm just going to tell you what they are, and then I'm going to talk about the very first one because it is, if you do this first step, the others will make sense. So we're going to talk about establishing an objective, questioning our assumptions, then unleashing our creativity, identifying and organizing our information, and then putting a plan together for implementation. So those are the 5 steps. Establishing an objective, questioning our assumptions, unleashing our creativity, identifying and organizing the information, and planning to implement. Now, the reason I start with establishing the objective where I want to sit with you today is because you got to know what it is you want to achieve. I go back to the question that I started with you all. Do you have an objective, a goal, a dream, or a desire that you want to brainstorm about? So this is intentional. I've got something that I want to focus on. So your first step is in your work session, you want to really focus in on what do I want to accomplish in this work session. This work session may be 30 minutes. It may be 3 hours over 3 days. Whatever that work session is, starting with what is it I want to accomplish in this brainstorming session. So the brainstorming session is an intentional time you set aside. It's some thinking time. And you can use, red car here. You can use your tool of choice. So I'm not fixated in hello, emotional CEO. Oh, time out. Time out, y'all. Today is somebody's birthday. So just put happy birthday, emotional CEO in the chat. Happy birthday, happy birthday, happy birthday, and I love you dearly. Hey, Tora, glad to have you in the building. I know you're gonna have questions tonight, so you always do. So if you got questions, go ahead and drop them in. So you're gonna establish what you want to accomplish in this session. You're calling it or naming it your brainstorming session. Think about that intentionally and grab a notepad, pen and paper, generative AI, mind mapping tool, a note taking tool, Apple Notes, Evernote, Notion, Trello, whatever you use, sketchnoting, or even drawing images in storyboarding. But be intentional about what is it I want to accomplish in this session first. I'm going to share the example. When I decided I wanted to solve this problem of me being all over the place with my ideas, is I did exactly this. I said, "What is it you want?" I want to come up and create a process or a framework, and I want to use brainstorming to accomplish it. And my objective in the very first step was to figure out how I was going to brainstorm. And it took me a little while to work through that. I kind of noodled on it for a few days. So that was the first objective. What did I want to accomplish? So for you, whatever that thing is you put a one in the comments about, you're going to set aside some time. Again, 30 minutes, 3 hours, whatever, one session, multiple sessions, and figure out what you want to accomplish. That's your objective for the brainstorming session. The second part is establishing an objective for the idea that you have. Back to the objective for your goal, your dream, your desire, whatever that is. What is the outcome you want to accomplish? This is what Stephen Covey calls starting with the end in mind. Not the activity you want to take, not the task to do, not the money to spend, not the time it takes, but what is the outcome you want to achieve? Decide what that is. And you may need to write it several times, clarify it, focus in on that thing. When I started putting this tool together, my objective was to develop a tool that I could use and I could make available for you. Needed to be simple, straightforward, that nearly anyone can do, and it did not require anything special. If you've got something to write on and something to write with, or something to record with that will take your voice, that was as complicated as I wanted to make it. So, what is your end game, end goal that you want to accomplish? And I'm going to put in there, here are some things you can do. You can use things like a SWOT analysis to pick it apart. You can use things like the 5 why methodology to drill down deep. Whatever tool you use, we know many of them. If you've been on this channel, you've heard me. I've talked about so many. But if you need some support getting there and understanding, let me know and I'll drop you A, links to videos I've already done, or B, we can set up a call and talk through it. But establish your objective, define your purpose. What is it you want to achieve as your real outcome? Not how you're going to get there, not how much it's going to cost. So, not the resources, not the time, just what. What is it if I'm baking a cake, my objective is I want to have this beautiful cake that's decorated. It's a lemon cake or whatever kind. So, what is the cake? How big is it? How small is it? Is it round? Is it square? Is it, layered? Does it have cream in it? What's the outcome I want? I watch so many people in so many organizations, they don't do this step. They start right in on this has to be done by this time, and it's these are the tasks that I'm going to do. And they do all the tasks and they don't accomplish the goal. They don't get the outcome. And it's individuals and it's whole large organizations go through the very problem that we're talking about here. So that's why I'm drilling in on this process. I've done it. I started just doing stuff, just doing stuff. I'm busy, busy. I'm busy. I'm so busy and getting nowhere. Telling on myself, not talking about you. I'm telling on myself because I am the queen of I can be doing a whole lot of nothing and be exhausted and get nowhere. So that was how I came to put this framework together. So I see questions coming in. Please continue to ask your questions. So, what am I talking about? I am talking about this is step one in a 5 step framework. And the framework is the EQUIP Brainstorm Blueprint. You can grab it off of my website. It's a worksheet that you can work through, and it'll take you through each of the 5 phases. The first one is the most important. If you start at the end with the last step, you're not going to end up with the result you expect to end up with because you haven't done step one first. So that's establishing the objective in 2 ways for the session you're going through, and then for the thing, the idea, the goal, the dream that you have. What are some of that, those dreams, those ideas, those outcomes? Drop them in the comments because I'd love to know what some of those are. Many of you put a one in saying you do have an objective, a goal, a dream, or a desire that you want to brainstorm about. You don't know how you're going to get there. You don't know what it's going to take, but you want to work through brainstorming about it. Drop some of those in the comments because I'd love to let me just say this. If you share it and you're comfortable with it, I'll definitely be praying with you and for it to work out according to the way it's supposed to work out for you. So, I got a couple of questions. I'm going to hop in. I'm going to answer your questions and then we're going to get out of here. I don't know why I'm having a moment here, y'all. My brain just went zoop, went out the window. So Tora asked a couple of good see, I'm hitting the wrong thing. Tora asked a couple of good questions. One is what's one limiting belief you think people carry into brainstorming sessions that shuts down their best ideas before they even begin? Ooh, wait. A limiting belief. I'll tell you what I really think it is. I think that people go into brainstorming sessions, it's actually two. I don't have enough time and I don't have enough money. It's going to cost too much. It's either going to cost too much time, I don't have the bandwidth, and I don't have the money to do whatever this thing is. So I'm giving you two. Those are the two most common limiting beliefs that I see people go with. And I hear people say, I don't have time, I'm too busy. I got too much going on. When things get better, I'll do it. Those are limiting beliefs because we have one life. Yesterday is gone, tomorrow's not here. Tomorrow It's in fact, the next 5 minutes are not promised. So when we stop ourselves from even attempting, from even taking the active step, we're limiting ourselves and putting ourselves in a box. It's nobody else. It's us, our own self. I've done it. Many, many people have done it. I'm no different than any other. I have had so many times when I thought I wanted to do something and then I'd stop myself. And it's usually one of those two things. I believe I don't have enough money or I don't have enough time. I'm too busy. I got too much on my plate. I got too much going on. I'm stressed out. It's too hard. I don't understand. I don't have anybody to help me. You want me to keep going? And if you've ever thought any of those things, just hit the thumbs up button. Hit the thumbs up button if you've thought those. And you've stopped yourself from even doing the first step of brainstorming and figuring out what it is you want to brainstorm about. Tor, if that answered your question, let me know. And if it didn't, ask it a different way and I'll be glad to come back. The second question you ask is, do you think there's a stigma? Let me get this up on the screen. Do you think there's a stigma around brainstorming like it's only for creative types? And how does that belief limit people from even trying? I actually don't think that there's a stigma around brainstorming. I I think what it is, um, because everyone is creative. We're creative in different ways. Some people are more artistic, artistic, not autistic, AU. More some people are more artistic than others, but everyone has creativity in them. Anyone who can solve a problem of any type is creative because being creative is simply problem solving. There's a problem. This blueprint was being creative. The the way it looks, the branding, the graphics, y'all know I didn't do that, right? You know that. Cuz when you get it, you'll see it looks real professional. It don't look like a first grader did it with some crayons. So we know that my designer, the Superman, Mr. Emotional CEO, Mr. Birthday Boy, did it and it looks beautiful. He has that artistic eye that sees beyond the surface and he can bring it out and bring it to life. I, how I am, however, I'm a nerd. I'm an IT nerd. So I think creatively in a very different way than that. But we're both creative types. And we individually, each of us, sh- need to get to the place where we're not limiting our own self from accomplishing whatever. The human mind is more powerful than just about actually not just about but than any computer on the planet, including all of these supercomputers that are running generative AI. We simply have to believe, get to the place that we believe, and we have to know who we are. We have to know who made us, how we're made, and get that real belief in ourselves. There's boundaries we set. I've talked about them. There are things I simply have put a boundary and said, that is something I'm not doing. That doesn't mean I'm not capable of doing it. It means I've intentionally made a decision. I'm not going to do this thing, or I'm not going to chase that rabbit. I'm not going to get distracted with yet another thing. I'm going to stay the course on where my target is and move in this direction. And my energy, my creativity, my heart, my spirit is going in a direction. Yeah, yeah. The creative act is a must read. Yeah, I agree with you, Tora. And so yeah, many people do associate being creative with art only. They create it with the with art, dancing, music, writing, painting, graphic design. But creative is problem solving. That's creative. It's simply solving a problem and meeting a need. And the first place I submit you do that is you get it out. You don't let it roll around in your head. You get it out and you drill into that thing. You start with these 5 steps that are laid out in the blueprint. You work through them. You don't start executing and you start 15 projects and get none of them done. Not a single solitary one of them. You had a whole bunch of things started, but nothing is accomplished. So I have gone about as long. If you have a question, ask a question, please. Ask a question. And if you want to grab the blueprint, actually you can go here and get the blueprint at the blueprint slash blueprint. I didn't give this to everyone, so I apologize to y'all. But you can get it here or you can go to download either way and get it. Um, remember your your question that you have for yourself. Start with that question that you have, that goal, that dream, and grab a journal or whatever tool, your tool of choice, and really start to take these steps and work it out. The blueprint is a worksheet. You can write out the answers right on that blueprint. It's a PDF. You can pull it into a tablet or a phone and pull it into Apple Notes or Good Notes or whatever you use, Evernote, and work with the content, work with the information right on the tool of choice. You can print it out and get a pen. uh, get a pen or pencil or a crayon, whatever you use, and write it out. Nothing fancy. There's nothing extraordinary here. You don't require a lot of things. Keep it simple. The simpler you can keep it, the faster you will go. I heard Alec Johnson say something, and it really resonated with me because of some of the work that I've done. And this was his comment, and I'm paraphrasing. His YouTube channel is Take One Tech. As an architect, and I've worked with loads of architects, when a building is finished, we look at it and we see a complicated marvel. But really, truly, and I know this to be true because I've literally walked through this and gone through it. A building being built is simply a series of steps that are taken in a simple, in a straightforward, orderly order. And it's very simple. The parts themselves are simple. It's that planning part, that thinking part, that establishing the goal part before you start put a shovel in the ground and take the first shovel of dirt. Before you take a hammer and put the hole in the first part of the wall. It's this part we're talking about here. But the actual, when I watch a building being built, for those who don't know, one of my construction projects is one of the things that I've worked on a lot, building buildings and tearing down buildings and renovating buildings and all kind of stuff. Before the construction starts, oftentimes there, especially for existing structures, there's a demolition. But before the demolition starts, there are months of work that go into it. This is that months before you start to see the result that we're talking about. I worked on a project where I was leading renovating a nationally known orthopedic center. And for months before the demolition started, we planned every everything that had to come out of the space, exactly where it was going to go, exactly when it was going to be moved out, exactly what order it was going to be moved out, exactly what person or group was going to come in first, second, third, fourth, all the way down. Where we were going to put the clinical staff so they could continue to treat patients, where we were going to put the emergency services, everything before demolition ever started. That was being creative. And when the demolition started, that was a whole nother phase. And then the rebuild is a whole nother phase. And then putting the people back is a whole nother phase. But it's simple step by step. Simple, one step, one step, one step. And that's what the blueprint will lead you through for whatever your goal is. Step 1, step 2, step 3, step 4, step 5. So by the time you get to the 5th step, you have planned soup to nuts. You are ready to run, and you'll make far less mistakes, you'll spend far less money, you'll spend far less time and get to your end goal much smoother because you've been strategic and intentional about the way you've started. So, Tora, thank you, Sin. I'm funny. I'm on this topic and reading your mind. Tell me how I'm reading your mind. No, you talking about giving your car keys back. Right. She over here talking about give her car keys back, y'all. The little red car. For those who don't know, Tora has this little red car that she loves to drive up into your driveway and toot the horn. So, any last minute questions? I don't want to belabor the point, and glad that you guys are here. Thank you for all 9 of you who are here in the show with me tonight. Y'all, y'all. She in Costco watching the crazy cart people. Well, thank you for listening to the show, and however you're on your phone typing in questions. So that's the beginning. We're going to dive into more information about brainstorming in the coming weeks. I wanted to give you an introduction and have you. So your homework is do step 1. Get the blueprint. Go to the website. Get the blueprint, and just do step 1. Whatever that thing is, you put a 1 in the comment about saying, I've got an idea, a dream, a goal, objective, and I want to start down this road to truly do intentional, focused, strategic brainstorming. Let's go through it together. I look forward to seeing what you come up with and seeing your results. Seeing your results. So, with that, I'm going to say, good night. Glad to have you guys in the building. And I will see you guys back here, God willing, next Friday at the same time. Good night, everybody.